Hi everyone, it's Leanne with Lovely Scrappin'. I'm here to show you a quick tutorial on how I made this little mini file folder. The one that I showed originally was for the Bow Bunny Weekend Market mini album that I had made, and I had quite a few requests actually to do a tutorial for that. So I'll just show you quickly. I didn't do the attachment here because I haven't decided how I want to do it, but again, you can do a keyhole here with the brad kind of thing that I did originally in the first one, or you could do Velcro, a magnet, you could do the little brads here and here and do the tie loop. You can do a belly band again. You know, there's so many different things you can do. But anyway, so this is how it looks. And you just open this up and there's your little accordion file folder. So it's really quite easy. It's just using envelopes, number 8 envelopes. And then you can just insert whatever type of, you know, photo matting, journaling, or whatever you want in there. So hang in there and we'll get started and I'll show you how I made it. Okay guys, so the first thing you're going to need is some envelopes, and I just got these from my local dollar store, and they're the number 8, and they're a 3 5/8 by 6.5 inches. So you're going to need 7 of these, and what you're going to do is you're going to seal them. So now this one, as you can see, only has adhesive mainly in the middle, so I'm going to put glue here and here after. So I'm going to seal it down first. And then I'm just going to use a little bit of craft glue, doesn't matter what kind. There you go. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to want to take your paper trimmer and you're just going to want to take off a little slice of this, okay? So not very much. Just enough so it has the opening on the bottom, okay? So just like that. So just a little bit. Okay. So I'm just gonna seal that down really good. So now you have an envelope with the opening. Okay, so now all I'm going to do, because of the project I'm doing right now, I'm going to distress it. You don't have to distress it, or you can, but I am going to distress the edges of mine. And you don't need to distress the bottom, but you're definitely going to want to distress in at least 1/4 inch on either of the sides, and a little bit at the top. And I'm a little fussy. I like to do the inside just a little bit because it's going to be seen when you open up the little file folder. So all I'm going to do is just do the outside. Not a whole lot here because it will be glued together. You'll see what I mean in a second here. And then I do the side by taking off, and in case you're wondering what this is just my version of my own ink blending tool. I know sometimes every once in a while when I do a tutorial, people are like, what is that block that you're using? It's my take on one of these. And I have done a tutorial. It's my very first YouTube video ever, so I can post a link in the description box below for it, for you to follow it if you are interested in making your own, because I like to have one for each one of my colors of distress ink, so that's a lot. And you can make approximately, from the wood I got, like 24 ink blending tools for like $7.50 around there. So anyways, so for the inside, you can use one of those little foam, you know, dauber finger things or whatever you want. I'm just going to do this quickly here, so I'm not going to be too fussy. It's going to be all distressed and grungy anyway because of the album I'm doing. I'm going to be putting it in. Okay. Now I'm going to do the sides here. Okay, now for this envelope, because this part, if you guys can see, kind of opens up a little bit, I'm just going to glue that down just because it bugs me. If you guys have an envelope like that, then just glue it down. You don't have to, because it is, well, it's going to be near the top, so it's nice to just sort of have clean edges. Alright, so you're going to do this to all 7 envelopes, okay? And for the sake of the tutorial and to save time, I've done it already, yay! And I've also just already put on my tape. Okay, so this one here, the very last one, I put the tape on all of the edges pretty much because it's going to go against the folder piece. Okay, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. All the other ones, I've done it so it's at least a little over 1/4 of an inch on either side, and then these ones here can be right up against the edge. So I'll just do that with this one here. Actually, well, this one here is going to be right against, I'll just show you, well, I'll go through how to make this, but this one here is going to be right up against the front, so I'm going to put just adhesive all over the front of that. But for all the other ones, again, just make it so it's about 1/4 of an inch on either side or more, because you are going to want it to have a bit of give, right, when they are attached, so it's a bit of accordion. And then you can put it right up against the edges there. And I'm just using the Suquing score tape. It's about 1/4 of an inch, but I mean, for this you could have a fatter one, but I love working with a 1/4 inch one because then you have the option to double it up if you need to, or just have it nice and thin for trims and stuff. Okay, so just to recap, you're going to have 7 envelopes. The top one is going to have adhesive all over the front. The next one will have adhesive, about 1/4 of an inch on either side, and then right up to the edges on the top and bottom. And so will all of the other ones. Okay, and then this one will have that as well as completely covered on the back. So let's put these together now, starting with the back one. And we'll put the next one down like that. And just remember that when you're putting this down, you don't want to put the bottom closed end the wrong way, because then you'll have to redo that set of envelopes. I've done that, so. Alright, so I'm just going to move these out of the way. Just get a good look and just line it up nicely. Like that. Okay, so then you get your first 2 pockets. And this is what I mean by a little bit of give. So when you open them up, it has that little bit of a space there. See that? Right there. Okay, so the next one. Okay, you guys get the idea? I think I'll just speed this up and then I'll come back just to save some time for you guys. Okay, so this is the last one. So remember, all of that adhesive's at the top. Okay, so you're going to have what looks like this, adhesive on both sides, and this wonderful accordion style book. Okay, so for the next part, now you're just going to put this aside and we're going to do the inserts for these, okay? So what you're going to do is be making these, and you're going to start with a piece of paper, cardstock, whatever you want to use. You can use designer paper, whatever. It's going to be approximately 6 1/4 by 4 1/8 in size of an inch, okay? And I've made 7 or 6 already, so I'm just going to finish up the 7th one, and those will be my inserts for inside, okay? So all you're going to do is, I just ran it through my on the edge die. Okay, so the one that is like this, so it looks like this one here, it's the brackets. Okay, so this one here. So if you look at this, you can see the bracket one is here. So I'm going to show you a trick that I like to do when I'm working with it so it doesn't move. You're just going to take the edge that you want to be cut, and you're just going to line it up carefully so it's centered. Okay, and you're just going to get a couple pieces of tape ready. If you're worried about this tape ripping your paper, you can put it down on like your pants or on your shirt, or something with fabric, and then peel it off and it'll get rid of some of the stickiness. But I try to place it in an area that hopefully the tape won't touch, but this tape doesn't really rip my paper, so I've done this before. So I'm going to center it so the tip is centered in here, and the edges on either side are roughly the same distance from the edge. And I'm just going to put it on, and then I'm just going to put a piece of tape here and here, just to hold my paper in place so that when it cuts exactly where I want it to cut. Okay, so I'm going to grab my Big Shot. Okay, and I'm just going to place it in there, sandwich it. So I have the one plate on the bottom, just like you would for a normal size die for Tim Holtz. Then sandwich it and then run it through. Okay, so this is how it's cut. So it's perfectly the way I want it. Just going to take the tape off and just take my scissors, and because the length of the paper is wider than the on the edge die, I'm just going to cut where that slit is and just cut straight. If you got a rounder punch and you want it rounded, you can do that. I'm just going to leave it straight. That, and I do have a little teeny sliver of tape there, so I'm just going to take it off. There we go. And there you have it. So that is going to be the insert. All of them line up fairly nicely, not perfect, but pretty good. And so the way that they're going to go is just one by one in the slots. Just like that. So that's how they'll lie. So they have enough sticking up that you can just pull them out. Okay, so that's that part. And we're just going to put this aside and we're going to make this portion. Okay, so what this is going to be the body of the file folder. So it's going to pretty much go and stick here, here, have enough space there, and then flap down like that. That'll be the file folder, and it'll all open up nicely. Okay, so let's put that aside. So all I use is an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. Okay, and I'm going to use black for this project. So you're going to keep the 11 inches. So you're not going to cut anything off the 11 inches, but you do want this piece. Sorry guys, I forgot to put that there. This distance here is 6.5 inches. Okay, so we're going to trim this to 6.5 inches. And then we're going to do our scoring. So just going to trim that to 6.5, because that is the length of the envelopes. Okay, and you can score using this if you like, but if you have a scoreboard, you can use that. And that's what I'm going to try to fit on screen here, so bear with me. So I've just got a Martha Stewart scoreboard. I'm not going to be able to fit the measure. Well, here, let me just tilt my angle. There. So I'm going to put this, so it's 11 inches going this way, okay? So the first score line we are going to do, and I will post these on the screen as I go so you guys won't miss it. So 3 5/8 of an inch will be the first score line, okay? So let's go 3 5/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I always double count just in case. Okay, and then the next one is going to be at 4 inches. So 4 inches this way. Okay, and then the next one is all the way at 8 3/8 of an inch. And then again at 8 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so let's recap. So we got a score line at 3 5/8 of an inch. Tilt it so maybe you guys can catch the score lines on camera. So this is 3 5/8 of an inch. This is 4 inches. This is 8 3/8 of an inch. And this is 8 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so going from this way to this way. So we've got that done. Now the next thing you're going to want to do is make your decorative edge, and you're going to want to do it at the end over here. Sorry about my inky fingers, you guys. At this end, okay? So, right, so this is the way we've scored it. So we're doing the decorative edge at this end because it's going to go folding over like that, okay? And for this one, I am going to use my this one that's the plaque and postage on the edge die. Again, you can use whichever one you want, but I'm going to be using this one here. And I'm going to do the same technique with the tape, okay? So I'm going to be wanting to do it on this edge. So I'm just going to put it down here, get a couple pieces of tape, and just line it up pretty. Now this, keep in mind, this is 6.5 inches wide, so it's going to fold slightly downward when you run it through the Big Shot, but I'm going to show you a trick so it doesn't totally wreck it, okay? So I'm going to sandwich it again. Now remember, this is a bit wide for the Big Shot, so all I'm going to be doing is feeding it through just enough to do the cut, and then I'm going to roll it backwards, okay? So I'm not going to feed it all the way through. So I'm just going to put it just enough to do the cut, okay, and then I'm going to go backwards. That way it only, you know, it only just folds down this part here and not the entire strip, okay? So, and really it didn't really affect it that bad, so it's just slightly wider than the Big Shot, so, right? Same thing with the other one. Now with this one, so as you can see, there's a longer edge here. So again, I'm just going to do a straight cut with my scissors. Okay. So now we have this with our score line. So let's do our folds. Get the bone folder here. And I'm just going to fold the first one. And the next one. And if you guys want, you know, to do more envelopes in there, you can. You just have to adjust the give here so it can accommodate all of your envelopes that you've put in there for the different pockets. And you probably have to use a 12 by 12 instead of 11 because this has to be long enough to cover it all. Okay, you guys, so now what we're going to do is we're going to adhere the envelopes. I'll take these, you don't need those in yet. So I'm going to adhere the first one down to the front first, okay? Like that. Okay. So it's like this, remember? So I'm going to take the inner portion of it and just adhere it down. Try and line it up here. So hard working with the tripod, you guys. Okay. And mine has a little bit of a border too, you guys. I just cut it a little bit shy, but that's okay. Sometimes it looks kind of cool with the border. All right, so now we have the back. We're going to want to adhere down to this here. And we're going to just make sure it's folded like that. And I like to take my bone folder and go in the very back pocket here and just seal it down to the back, especially at the very bottom. And I'll just do it to the front one as well. Okay guys, so that's the side profile. Okay, and then it goes like this. So it looks like that. So now, the reason why there's that gap, of course, is for these to stick up. Okay. do like to make sure all of them are down, and then that way it will close like that. So the next thing that you can do is mat your piece with some designer paper. Okay guys, sorry, as you can see my light is like gone now, so I've got this horrible shadow. Anyway, so this is pretty much what it looks like. Oh, I still got a piece of tape there. Thought I took it off. Because there's one good thing about this light. I can see the tape. Anyway, so this is the folder. Okay, so this flips down like this, and you've got the back. You can put a piece of paper here and here if you like, but I just like the way this looks. Now for the one that I did on the Bo Bunny Weekend Market mini, which is the original one that I did, I kind of put something similar to this, where I put a keyhole, and then I put it there, I punched a little bit of a hole there, and then I fed a brad through the very first one, and then had it poking out so that when this closed, the brad would go through the keyhole and you can bend it down. I don't really want to do that with this one. I think with this one, what I would do is just do the circle. You could do cardstock, you could do a button, whatever you want, or a big button brad, and put it here and then one here and have the string and do that type of a thing. I think that's what I'm going to end up doing with this one. But anyways, you guys, the closure is totally up to you. I'm not going to do the closure on this because you guys can choose which one you want to do. You can even do magnet, have a magnet here, and do a snap closure. You can do a belly band closure, you know, a string and tie closure, whatever you want. And then this could be an insert in a mini album because it really isn't that thick. And if you go back to the mini album I did an acetate pocket, then it slid perfectly in there. So anyways, you guys, there is my file folder that I did in that album. I hope you guys were able to follow this tutorial. I'm telling you guys, I know I haven't been making a lot of videos lately. I've just been so busy, but when I get back into trying to do a tutorial, I feel like, oh my goodness, am I even making sense when I'm rambling on and on? Anyways, I hope you guys caught it and were able to do it. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I will do my best to answer. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys try it out. It's lots of fun. Take care. Bye now.